Hello guys, and welcome to part 5 of Solidworks for Beginners. So today we're going to talk about the Fillet feature and linear pattern. And they come in handy when you try to make a lot of different shapes or if you're trying to make something very smooth. So let's get into it. So first, as always, we'll start with creating a plane. It could be front plane, top plane, it doesn't matter. So let's say I want to do a front plane, and let's start with the Fillet feature. So I want to create some kind of a rectangular extrusion. Okay, made a rectangle, exit sketch, and now I want to make it into a extruded base. Okay, so I selected my sketch. Now I have this base, so I'm gonna make it just a little bigger so we can actually see what's going on when I apply my features. So now I have this slab. Okay, very beautiful. Now I'm going to click Fillet feature up on top here. So what Fillet does is it smooths out those edges if you need it to be, I don't know about a cylinder, but let's say you just want a very smooth edge. You don't want those rough edges over here. Okay, so I'm gonna click Fillet. There are different fillet types. As you can see, this is the one that's even all throughout, so it's going to have an even width of the fillet. This one is going to start with the thinnest one to the thickest one. This one honestly does the exact same thing as the first one. You're just going to select two sides of the slab instead of the line of the slab, and you'll understand what I'm talking about in a second. And this one basically combines three different sides into one even arc. Okay, so let's look at how this actually works. So let's start with this linear one. So you click on a line, so make sure you're not clicking on any of those. You're clicking specifically on a line you want to fillet. And then here, down here, you can set a radius of how much you want it to fillet. Let's say I want it to be 1 inch. Okay, I click OK. And this is huge, obviously, but this is just for demonstration purposes. So now it filleted half of my slab. Okay. Now, let's say I want to do it differently. I want to make it smaller. I want to do a different feature, a different type of fillet. So we go back. We click on this one. So here, we're going to select one plane for filleting, then transfer onto the next field and choose your second plane. And here, let's say before it was 1 inch, I want it to be 0.50 or even let's say 0.45. Click OK. And now, as you can see, it connects two of these fields. Again, it honestly does the same thing. You would just have to figure out a situation. If one of them is not working, that means you might have to use another one. Usually you can use them pretty interchangeably. And as we can see, the radius is much smaller on this fillet feature. Okay. So yeah, that was fillet. Just let's do it one more time for demonstration purposes. So I usually like this one, so I'm gonna use this. Click OK. Okay, see, and then now we have this beautiful little loaf of bread. All right, so that's it for fillet. So now let's talk about linear patterning. So linear pattern is useful when you want to make a lot of features that are exactly the same. So let's say you create one circle and you want to have a lot of those circles all around. So I'm gonna delete these. Okay, so again, we have our slab. So first of all, you have to select a plane that you will be working with. As with any kind of extrusion, we're gonna click and we're going to do an extruded cut, because you can use this with any kind of feature, but I'm just gonna do it because it's good for demonstrating what we're actually doing. Okay, so I made this circle. Now, before I exit this sketch, I'm going to click linear sketch pattern up here. Okay, here you can choose a direction that you're patterning it in. So we can either pattern along the x-axis or we can pattern it along the y-axis. You see, so we can go either here or down here. So let's say I wanted to go down here, and then in this field, you can choose how far you want them to be, and that measures this distance over here, okay, from the center of the circle to the center of the circle. So it doesn't measure edge to edge, it measures from the center of the figure that you created. And this is very important, especially when you're trying to make some complicated and very precise elements. So I'm gonna make it 0.5 inches, okay? So now we have this. And then let's say I want to make 3 of these. I just change this number down here, and this counts how many instances there are of this sketch. So it counts your original sketch plus 2, so total 3. So I'm gonna click OK, and now exit sketch. And now I have 3 of those extruded cuts, you see, and you can make them, I don't know, 0.5, or let's even keep it at 1. Let's keep it at 1 just to prove a point. Okay, now I have 3. So what happens when you want to do them in 2 directions? I'm going to go back into this cut extrude, and I'm going to click edit feature. So I clicked on my right side of the mouse, and I clicked edit feature. Okay, so now what happens if you want to make them in 2 directions, let's say. So let's go back. I have my sketch. I'm going to delete it. So again, I'm going to click on the plane that I want to work in. Sorry, that was random. When I click on the plane that I want to work in, I'm going to make a cut. Yeah, let's just stick with the circle because it's much easier. Alright, I made my circle. And now, so after you exited the sketch, let's say you want to do a linear pattern immediately on the extrusion rather than on the sketch. It doesn't make that much of a difference. Usually there are less errors when you're doing a linear pattern inside of a sketch rather than with a ready feature like this, but we can still do it. So again, we select our direction 1, and let's say I also want a second direction. Down here, you have to select your features and faces. So I want to select this hole. You already see a preview. And here you also have option for bodies. Bodies is going to be something like if you want to select this entire slab, that's going to be a body. If you want to make a small feature on the slab, like a cut, that's going to be a feature. All right. So I have all of these holes going here, and let's say I want them to be 0.70, and here I also want it to be 0.70. I mean, they go over. Let's make it pretty. Let's make it 0.5. Okay. Another useful feature is instances to skip. So when I click instances to skip down here, I have these dots where I can untoggle the feature and make it disappear. See? That way it will only pattern these and it will not show up the holes that were up here. You can also change this back and just toggle it back. So let's just keep one turned off just to see how it looks like. And here we go. Now we have a linear pattern of all these holes that I needed. Okay? So that's it for today's lesson. Thank you so much for watching, and please watch my other tutorials, and good luck!